So now it is my great honor to introduce our speaker for the afternoon, providing us with the State of the City address, Mayor Greg Mengarelli. I'm going to say a few words about you. Mayor Greg Mengarelli grew up in small rural communities in Kansas and received a Bachelor's of Science degree in Park Resource Management from Kansas State University in 1989. He met his wife Sheila while attending Kansas State, and they were married in 1990. He worked at Angeles Crest Christian Camp as the assistant director until 1994. In 1995, Greg and Sheila moved to Prescott, where he serves as executive director for UCYC United Christian Youth Camp. During the time at this camp has grown from $400,000 budget to over $4.6 million annually. UCYC accommodates over 20,000 guests each year at 3 camp locations with a total bed count of 1,000. Greg and Sheila have been married for 27 years and they have 9 children. That's not a typo. 4 of them whom are adopted. He is active in community affairs and served as the president of the Prescott Unified School District Board in 2017. In all his spare time, Greg likes mountain biking, hiking, hunting, and leading river trips down the Colorado River. Please welcome Mayor Greg Mengarelli.
Well, thank you so much. Now, I was reading the agenda, and I was supposed to get up at 12:55 and go to 1:30, so do I actually have 45 minutes? As long as I want. I don't want to listen to myself talk that long. Well, thank you so much for having me today. The energy in this room is amazing. When I walked in today, it just warms my heart to meet so many great people, renew acquaintances, and just hear the great things going on in your businesses. And so it's a real privilege to be here today. Thank you, Sherry and Margot and Sanford as well. Great job. I had a couple things I wanted to mention before I get into my talk. Number one, you guys are all excited about Sherry, and you should be. But it's a dynamic duo because we have John Heine at the City of Prescott. John, thank you. I found out real quick in my first 7 weeks he's a huge help. Thank you so much. Now, Harry did a great job with the transition. I appreciate he did a great job as mayor, but then I came in and he was helpful, making sure I knew kind of what was going on, and he had a great agenda. We wanted to continue that. And I kept telling him, Harry, this is going to be a part-time job. Harry, you're right. It's not a part-time job. It's busy. But thank you for your help. Thank you for your service. And it's as busy as you want it to be. Harvey Skoog, over in my good friend in Prescott Valley, the mayor over there, he says, Greg, it's a part-time job 7 days a week. He's right. One more thing. I need to apologize to Steve over here. Earlier this week, I was walking in for a women's luncheon, and a lady caught me, rolled her window down. She was in a blue Jaguar, by the way. And she says, where's the valet? I was like, I've tried to tell Steve he needs a valet, but he's not done it. But I'm sorry, there's no valet, man. Well, I've got this placard, for my handicap, and all the spots are taken. I have no place to park up front. So then I knew this was my moment for my good deed of the day, and what am I going to do? And I decide I'm gonna help this lady out. So I hop in this Jaguar, I start driving off, and in the parking lot, probably every valet driver's had this moment where you're wondering, how fast would this thing go? So I park the car, I come in, sit down, and during lunch I'm thinking, how am I gonna reconnect with this lady? And I thought she went into this luncheon, but I don't see her in the luncheon. And after the luncheon, I run out, park the car, and I'm waiting. And I start doing laps, and I can't find her. So after my 4th lap between the meeting space and the car, and the first time I left the keys on the dash, that probably wasn't a good idea. I started thinking the headline in the Daily Courier, Mayor as an imposter of a valet driver steals elderly lady's blue Jaguar. Anyway, I got her the car back. It's all good. Oh yeah, great. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Well, listen, throughout my campaign, I emphasize that we live in a unique and a very vibrant community. The air is clean, the sky is blue, our surroundings are serene, and those that live here are filled with energy, optimism, and kindness. There's no mystery as to why our community is on everyone's best places to live list. I get a new update nearly every week. I can't remember how many we're on. And it's why all of us chose to live in Prescott. And my goal as mayor is to preserve this reality of Prescott while at the same time enhancing its appeal. And to accomplish that vision, we must stop thinking about the next election and begin thinking about the next generation. The key to our long-term success as a community is twofold. Number one, provide a government mindset that promotes free enterprise, capitalism. No apologies. We've got to have a government that promotes free enterprise. Number two, control our future through strategic cooperation with our neighboring communities. So number one, what do I mean by government that promotes free enterprise? You know what I mean. To be successful business owners need a government structure that is nimble, lean, and responsive. Unnecessary regulations must be repealed and necessary ones applied judiciously. As a small businessman, I know that government does not create jobs. It never has, and it never will. Only the private sector creates real wealth. And our goal in city government is to assist you when you need it, and most importantly, to get out of your way the rest of the time. What do I mean by controlling our future through strategic cooperation with neighboring communities? Well, there's a recent local news story. This story talked about Sam's Club in Prescott Valley was closing. Now, like some in our city government, and perhaps some in the business community, my original reaction to the closing announcement was, wow, this really caught me off guard. I couldn't believe it. And then perhaps some of those club shoppers at Sam's Club would switch to Costco, and that would be great for Prescott's tax revenue. I don't really like admitting it, but I did think it. And my thinking defined Prescott Valley as my competitor, and I could benefit from their loss, but then my wife. Gentlemen, 4 very important words, but then my wife. Sheila asked me a somber question. What will happen to all those people who lose their jobs? She was thinking about Prescott Valley as our neighbor, not our competitor. Think about it from that perspective. Dozens of people woke up one morning and found out they would be out of a job. How many single moms trying to make ends meet? How many retirees trying to supplement their Social Security? How many young folks just trying to get that initial job experience, and they're now without a job? How many of those employees actually lived in Prescott? And why would me, find joy in profiting from others' misfortune? It's because for too many years, our communities have viewed their neighbors as competitors for new businesses, for tax revenue, and even favor from state and federal agencies. This mindset sees the revenue pie as fixed in size. If you win, then I must lose. If I win, then you must lose. And what we need is a mindset that you in the private sector understand. Make the pie bigger, and everyone benefits. Make the pie bigger. I like pie. And if we're to secure the future for generations to come, we have to adopt this cooperative attitude, if for no other reason than the fact that the two of our most valuable assets cannot be optimized without that spirit of cooperation. And those two resources I'm referring to are the Big Chino Water Ranch and the Prescott Municipal Airport. I may be getting into deep water here. We may not need more water in the near future, But someday our communities will need to tap into our allotment of water in the Big Chino Aquifer. And that will never happen if we do not plan strategically and work closely with Prescott Valley and our other neighbors. As for the airport, it's probably the greatest untapped resource that the city of Prescott owns. And again, I thank Harry for the work he's done to move this along. Our municipal, yes. Our municipal airport will never become the Prescott Regional Airport until we seek the cooperation and support of Prescott Valley, Yavapai County, Dewey-Humboldt, Chino Valley, to create a true regional airport. Only then can we engage in airport development that will lengthen our runway, build a new and modern terminal, get the support of the federal government. This concept has been discussed for decades. The time for talking is over. It's time to get something done at the airport. We're going to make it happen. While I'm on the subject of cooperation, I believe we should feel pride when one of our neighboring towns is successful in attracting a new business or upgrading a city service. The hard work of the private business person and the dynamics of the market determines where a new business will locate. It's rarely determined solely by the local city government. It's a partnership. There's a business reason why Chick-fil-A is located in Prescott Valley and why Trader Joe's located in Prescott. By the way, I was at Chick-fil-A this morning, had a couple sandwiches. It's very good. My wife Sheila, again, was right. Our bordering communities are our neighbors, not our competitors. Working together, we can preserve what we love most about our communities while securing the future for generations to come. In closing, I'd like to tell you a story. A young man named Enrico stepped off of the boat La Province on October 5th, 1912, on Ellis Island. He stepped into the immigration hall to start the process for his American citizenship and registered on the manifest. 3 weeks prior, he had left San Cassiano, Italy, near Fabriano, Italy, if you're familiar. He left everything he knew at the ripe age of 14 to come to the land of opportunity, America. So he set off on a train that day and left everything he knew, his family, the farm, the sheep that he would run up the mountain every day to graze and come back at 14. And he went to Havre, France, to that port, spent the night in an alleyway, huddled up waiting for the boat launch the next morning, La Province. He paid his fare. He was ushered down into the bowels of the boat. I probably don't have to explain exactly what that looked like, but there was no restroom, little food, little water, and he was seasick the whole time, nearly 2 weeks. And that got us to Ellis Island. He took some trains to his new home in southeast Kansas, where he was going to work for the company mine at 50 Campus, what the village was called. And the harsh reality of the mining community in that industry at that time in 1912, it really was not everything he probably had been told. He was 14, he had to lie that he was 16 so he could work in the mine. OSHA probably wasn't around. There's a company mine, there's a company store, and there's company housing. He was 14, yet he intuitively realized you can get stuck in this little rat trap of giving your money back to the company. So he lived in less than ideal conditions so that he didn't have to pay for company housing. He lived off the land. He had a garden and shot some wildlife and avoided the company store as well. And a decade later, because he was very frugal and hardworking, a decade later he purchased his first 160-acre farm with his new wife. And another decade went by, working both in the mine during the day, farm at night. He acquired 3 more 160-acre farms. He had a total of 640 acres. At that time was a huge farm. for that era, right? He was successful. He had made it in the land of opportunity, America. And it was because of his blood, sweat, and tears. Enrico's name was Henry Mengarelli. I affectionately knew him as Nonno. Nonno, if you know Italian, is grandpa. And he wasn't my grandpa, he was my great-grandpa, but I called him Nonno. And Nonno is someone who has motivated me and inspired me for a lifetime. Now you're asking, why do I tell you this story? It's because when I think about Nonno's journey, it reminds me of you. It took courage for him to leave his home and come to America. The same kind of courage it takes to own and operate a business or start a new venture. It took determination to press on despite the great odds against him, to be independent of the company mine and the store. The same kind of determination it takes to keep your business afloat when the economy tanks or the unexpected happens. It took great devotion to work day and night to accomplish his dream of owning his own farm, the same kind of devotion you exhibit in pursuing your own dream. Finally, he took great risk in leaving everything he'd ever known as security in pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is the same risk you take when you own and operate a business. Nonno was and always will be my hero. And for those same reasons, you are my heroes. I admire you for your rugged individualism, your pioneering spirit, and your entrepreneurial passion. When I look into your eyes, I see the rugged individualism. When I listen to your voice, I hear the entrepreneurial passion, and it's then that I know the pioneering spirit is alive. The pioneering spirit that brought my great-grandpa to this country. The pioneering spirit that founded our great city, and it is the pioneering spirit that will move us forward in 2018. You, my friends, you are the lifeblood of our city. I leave you with a quote from Ronald Reagan. President Reagan said this, and I think it sums up nicely what we've been talking about. There are no great limits to growth because there are no limits of human intelligence, imagination, and wonder. God bless you all, and God bless Prescott.